is so hot? The debate is going to be hot.
I thought the
Hi, I'm Todd Purdum.
And I'm Dee Dee Myers.
And welcome to Denver for another convention conversation on VF.com. Dee Dee, all of Denver is waiting for Barack Obama's big moment tonight in Vesco Mile High Field. What's his challenge?
His challenge is to deliver a speech that both raises up an audience of 80,000 people and somehow talks directly and intimately to all of, not just the people in the stadium, but to the millions of people who will be watching on TV, and connects his message about hope to the realities of their everyday life.
Now, they've built a very impressive set that looks a little bit like the one that President Bush used in Madison Square Garden
Right.
4 years ago. He's kind of out there like on a pitcher's mound.
Right.
Do you think that will look intimate enough on TV to do what you said he needs to do?
Time will tell. I think that's one of the challenges the campaign has wrestled with in recent days, is how to frame him, how to put him in a huge stadium and make him feel like he's surrounded by people as opposed to up on some podium talking down upon them. It's funny when you compare Invesco to Pepsi Center, where most of the convention has taken place until now, or all of it. It's funny to imagine that a setting with 15,000 people is intimate, but Pepsi was intimate. This is not so easily intimate.
Besides the delegates and all the hangers-on reporters, there are going to be 20,000 Coloradans in the stands tonight, and that's part of the Obama campaign's effort to get states like the Rocky Mountain West and Colorado in play for the Democrats. Right. It's funny, though, managing expectations is tricky for them. I went to a reporter's breakfast this morning where somebody asked about whether they were worried if they won the White House, what they'd do to minimize the danger of having defeats in the midterms in 2010. So, they've got a lot on their plate.
Putting the cart just a little ahead of the horse. But it is an issue for them. And, of course, the McCain campaign and the Republican Party are waiting, lying in wait, as it were, to see if this looks like Barack Obama is being lionized before he's elected, and that's a bit of a problem for them. And I know the campaign has spent time in recent days trying to deal with things like the sound to make sure it seems more intimate and not sonorous like it can in that stadium, apparently.
And the McCain campaign may step on the Obama's party a little bit tonight by letting word leak of his vice presidential pick.
Right.
As anticipatory as everyone is today about tonight, last night was pretty exciting, too, and your old boss, Bill Clinton, gave a pretty good speech.
I got to say, I was really proud of him. There was chatter all day in the convention hall was, can he do it? Can he get beyond the bitterness that he clearly has felt during this primary process and some of the sort of hurt feelings that he clearly has carried about the way he's been treated, the way he feels he's been treated by the Obama campaign. And he came out, first of all, that stadium loved him.
Yep.
He got an arousing,
he could have had a third term if the Constitution would have allowed. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And then he gave a speech that I think exceeded everyone's expectations. I was talking to former Treasury Secretary Bob Rubin earlier today, and he said he can't remember Bill Clinton ever giving a better speech, and I think that's right. I think it was one of the finest of his career.
We heard that the night before he gave it, he was in his suite, surrounded by old aides, and they were sort of reading it a page at a time, looking at it while he was still working on it up to the last minute.
Which, of course, is vintage Clinton, where he's, he told me last night, President Clinton told me last night that he'd written most of that speech himself, that he started it about 4 days ago, and as you say, 2 a.m. the night before, he was still tinkering with it, and probably in the car on the way to Pepsi Center, he was still tinkering with it.
The thing that was also striking about it was a very generous speech.
Right.
He basically said, Barack Obama may not be 100% qualified to be president on day one, but he's as qualified as I was 16 years ago.
And so here we are on Thursday. And if you look back over the first 3 days of the convention, it was, in many ways, it was about the Clintons. It was about Hillary Clinton's speech on Tuesday night, and then there was the roll call vote, and then there was Bill Clinton's speech. But I will say this, I think now it's time to move past that, and I think the Clintons, together, those three events, really did pass the torch. Hillary Clinton said she wanted her name put in nomination as a way for there to be a cathartic moment. And I think
felt like that.
Absolutely. Don't you think?
Yep.
On the floor yesterday afternoon?
There was another thing, too. Conventions, you never know exactly what's going to happen, and there was definitely a young political star last night named Attorney General Beau Biden of Delaware, who gave a rip-roaring introduction for his dad.
Yeah.
And his dad didn't do too bad either.
No, it's Joe Biden. He's not a teleprompter speaker. That's not his most comfortable and natural venue. But he delivered, and it's clear to see that Joe Biden relishing this moment. His family is 100% behind him, and he's going to go out there on the stump, and he's going to have a whale of a good time while he both talks about what a Obama-Biden administration would look like and why it would be a lot better than a McCain fill-in-the-blank administration.
And finally, a man named John Kerry might have had a very different role here if he'd won 4 years ago. He, too, made a rip-snorting speech last night. I never heard him make a speech like that when he was a candidate.
It was a fantastic speech. A lot of people missed it because a lot of the cable networks cut away from it, and people... It was interesting, though, being in the hall. Kerry started to speak, and the delegates were sort of only half paying attention. But as he went on, making a very passionate endorsement of Obama and drawing some very clear distinctions between Senator Obama and Senator McCain, who is a friend of John Kerry's, the audience got quieter and quieter, and at the end they gave him a rousing reception. It was exactly the kind of red meat that this convention was hungry for.
So I'm sure there'll be surprises. Stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow with a recap and a wrap-up of the week's events here in Denver.
and an analysis of what promises to be one of the most interesting political moments in recent memory. So we'll see you back here.
Thanks.